A Think Tank Policy Group Guide. Chapter 1. Lists of think tanks. Think tank websites. 1. A think tank, also called a policy institute, is a place where they supposedly to come up with fresh, new ideas. thinktankdirectory.com, adamsmith.org/blog, answers.com/topic/think-tank, atomicthinktank.com, separ.net, CEPR, cfr.org/thinktank, christian-tinkank.com, columbia.edu/cu/lweb/individual/lehman/guides/ttanks.html. thinktank.com, financing and management expertise to internet startup companies. communitychange.org, community change. demos-usa.org, demos. duncanbucknell.com/blog, Duncan Bucknell Companies IP Think Tank. earth-policy.org, Earth Policy Institute. ecclesia.co.uk, The Religion and Society Think Tank. en.wikipedia.org/wiki/civitas_left_think_tank right_, The Institute for the Study of Civil Society. en.wikipedia.org/wiki/compass_left_think_tank right_, UK Labour Party. en.wikipedia.org/wiki/demos_left_UK_think_tank right_, en.wikipedia.org/wiki/ecclesia_left_think_tank right_, religion in England. en.wikipedia.org/wiki/think_tank. sourcewatch.org/index.php $title=think_tanks. en.wikipedia.org/wiki/think_tank_directory. epi.org, AP. foodfirst.org, Food First. fpf.org, Foreign Policy in Focus. fpf.org, Foreign Policy. fpri.org/research/thinktanks, think tanks and foreign policy. newcitizen.org, Security Think Tank. harvard.edu/library/orgs_tanks.htm, Centers for Research and Policy Development at the Kennedy School of Government, Harvard. hudson.org, Public Policy American Common Culture. Think Tank websites. 2. ips-dc.org, INST. For Policy Studies. lib.umich.edu/govdocs/psthink.html. thinktanktv.com, lib.umich.edu/govdocs/psthink.html, University of Michigan's Political Science Resources Think Tanks. nationalcenter.org, Public Policy Research, a conservative think policy institute. nationalzoo.si.edu/animals/thinktank. nira.or.jp/past/ice/nwdtt/2005/index.html, World Directory of Think Tanks. oaklandinstitute.org, Oakland Institute. omg.org/news/meetings/thinktank. palestinethinktank.com. pbs.org/thinktank. prwatch.org, PR Watch. reform.co.uk. retailthinktank.co.uk. thinktank.com.sg, Think Tank International, manufacturer of the Pathfinder flotation tank. shopthinktank.com. thebreakthrough.org, Breakthrough Institute. theosthinktank.co.uk, Religion. thinktank.ac, Science Museum Think Tank. thinktank.alliancegroup.com. thinktank3.com. thinktankcc.com, Creative Consortium. thinktankforums.com. worldthinktank.net. Think Tank websites. 3. Alan Guttmacher Institute. agi-usa.org. Alexis de Tocqueville Institution. ADTI.net. American Enterprise Institute for Public Policy Research. AEI.org. American Institute for Contemporary German Studies. AICGS.org. American Institute for Research. AIR-DC.org. American Legislative Exchange Council. ALEC.org. American Savings Education Council. ASCC.org. American Tax Policy Institute. AmericanTax.org. Americans Back in Charge FNDT. ABIC.org. Answer. Answer.org. Asia Pacific Policy Center. APPCUSA.org. The Aspen Institute. AspenInstitute.org. The Atlantic Council of the U.S. ACUS.org. Battelle Memorial Institute. Battelle.org. Biophysical Society. biophysics.org/biophysical/society. British American Security Information Council. Basicint.org. Brookings Institution. Brookings.edu. The Capital Research Center. capitalresearch.org. Carnegie Endowment for International Peace. CEIP.org. Carnegie Institution of Washington. carnegieinstitution.org. Cato Institute. cato.org. Center for Defense Information. CDI.org. Center for Democracy. centerfordemocracy.org. The Center for Equal Opportunity. CEOUSA.org. Center for Immigration Studies. CIS.org. Center for International Environmental Law. CIEL.org. Center for International Policy. CIPOLINE.org. Center for International Private Enterprise. CIPE.org. Center for National Policy. CNPOnline.org. Center for Policy Alternatives. StateAction.org. Center for Public Integrity. PublicIntegrity.org. Center for Public Justice. CPJustice.org. Center for Strategic and Budgetary Assessments. CSBAonline.org. Center for Strategic and International Studies. CSIS.org. Center for the Study of Social Policy. CSSB.org. Center on Budget and Policy Priorities. CBPP.org. Center on Policy Attitudes and the Program on International Policy Attitudes. PolicyAttitudes.org. Chemical and Biological Arms Control Institute. CBOCHI.org. The CNA Corp. CNA.org. Committee for Economic Development. CED.org. Competitive Enterprise Institute. CEI.org. The Congressional Institute Inc. CONGInstitute.org. Consumer Energy Council of America Research FNDT. CICARF.org. Council for Excellence in Government. excelgov.org. Council on Competitiveness. compete.org. Council on Foreign Relations. foreignrelations.org. Think tank websites for Council on Hemispheric Affairs. COHA. COHA.org. Economic Policy Institute. epinet.org. Economic Strategy Institute. econstirat.org. The Eisenhower Institute. eisenhowerinstitute.org. Employee Benefit Research Institute. EBRI.org. Employment Policies Institute. aponline.org. Environmental and Energy Study Institute. EESI.org. Environmental Law Institute. ELI.org. Ethics and Public Policy Center. EPSI.org. The European Institute. europeaninstitute.org. Fair Government Foundation. FGF.org. Forum for International Policy. FFI.com. The Foundation Center. FDNcenter.org. Foundation for Future Leadership. futureleadership.org. Foundation for Public Affairs. PAC.org. The Freedom Alliance. freedomalliance.org. The Fund for Peace. fundforpeace.org. George C. Marshall Institute. marshall.org. George Meany Center for Labor Studies / the National Labor College. georgemeany.org. German Marshall Fund of the United States. gmfuss.org. The Henry L. Stimson Center. stimson.org. Heritage Foundation. heritage.org. Hudson Institute. hudson.org. IIT Research Institute. iatri.org. Initiative and Referendum Institute. endrinstitute.org. Institute for Alternative Futures. altfutures.com. Institute for Defense Analyses. IDA.org. Institute for Foreign Policy Analysis. ifpa.org. Institute for Health Policy Solutions. ihps.org. Institute for International Economics. IIE.com. Institute for Justice. ij.org. Institute for Policy Studies. ips-dc.org. Institute for Research on the Economics of Taxation, IRET. IRT.org. Institute of Gas Technology. IGT.org. Institute of Medicine. IOM.edu. Internet Policy Institute. InternetPolicyINST.org. International Foundation for Election Systems. efes.org. Think Tank Websites 5. International Law Institute. ili.org. Investor Responsibility Research Center. IRC.com. Johns Hopkins University Foreign Policy Institute, SAIS. sais-jhu.edu/centers/FPI. Joint Center for Political and Economic Studies. jointcenter.org. The Justice Policy Institute. cjcj.org. The Leadership Institute. leadershipinstitute.org. The Lexington Institute. lexingtoninstitute.org. The Linda Smith Center / Drug Policy Foundation. drugpolicy.org. Logistics Management Institute. lmi.org. Mathematica Policy Research, Inc. mathematica-mpr.com. The Middle East Institute. themiddleeastinstitute.org. National Academy of Engineering. nae.edu. National Academy of Public Administration. napawash.org. National Center for Policy and Research for Women and Families. CPR4WOMENANDFAMILIES.org. National Center for Policy Analysis. NCPA.org. The National Center for Public Policy Research. nationalcenter.org. National Center on Education and the Economy. NCEE.org. National Democratic Institute for International Affairs. NDI.org. National Environmental Policy Institute. NEPI.org. National Health Policy Forum. NHPF.org. National Institute for Public Policy. NIP.org. National Policy Association. NPAL.org. National Research Council. NAS.edu. National Security Archive, GWU. NSarchive.org. New America Foundation. newamerica.net. New Directions for Policy. End Policy. Com. Northeast Midwest Institute. nemw.org. The Philanthropy Roundtable. philanthropyroundtable.org. Pinchot Institute for Conservation. pinchot.org. Population Reference Bureau. prb.org. Potomac Institute for Policy Studies. potomacinstitute.org. Progress and Freedom Foundation. pff.org. Progressive Policy Institute. ppionline.org. Public Forum Institute. publicforuminstitute.com, Public Service Research FNDT, PSRF.org, RAND, RAND.org, Resources for the Future, RFF.org, Think Tank Websites 6, Ripon Society, riponsociety.org, SRI International, SRI.com, Tax Foundation, taxfoundation.org, Urban Institute, urban.org, Washington Institute for Near East Policy, washingtoninstitute.org, Woodrow Wilson International Center for Scholars wwics.si.edu, World Resources Institute, wri.org, Think Tank Websites 7, dc.linktank.com, Think Tank produces a weekly newsletter about think tank conversations and other policy events in the DC area. nira.or.jp/english/nwdtt/nwdtt.html, National Institute for Research Advancement. NIRA compiles information on think tanks and the information is searchable by country. Go to thinktank.com, the Think Tanks and Civil Society Program. state.gov/s/p/tt, U.S. State Department Think Tanks listing. A list of think tanks. World. Amnesty International/United Kingdom. Bruegel/Belgium. Center for Strategic and International Studies/US. Chatham House/United Kingdom. Council on Foreign Relations/US. International Institute for Strategic Studies/United Kingdom. RAND Corporation/US. The Carnegie Endowment for International Peace/US. The Brookings Institute/US. Woodrow Wilson International Center for Scholars/US. Think Tanks in the United States. The Brookings Institution. Carnegie Endowment for International Peace. Center for Strategic and International Studies. Council on Foreign Relations. Woodrow Wilson International Center for Scholars. Cato Institute. RAND Corporation. Heritage Foundation. Center for American Progress. National Bureau of Economic Research. Pew Research Center. American Enterprise Institute for Public Policy Research. Center for a New American Security. Peterson Institute for International Economics. World Resources Institute. repository.upenn.edu/cgi/viewcontent.cgi ?article =1009 & context =think_tanks